What's going on, guys? It's your boy Ethan. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to play some 1-2 at MGM Springfield and just going to go over the hand analysis. So we play a pretty wild one, a very interesting one. So running up pretty well, as you can tell from the thumbnail. So let's get straight into the hands and let's get going. So the very first hand here early on in the session, I'm in middle position, look down at pocket queens with a button straddle. So the small blind first act, he makes the call, folds to me, I decide to make it $25, and the button and small blind both call. So we're three ways to the flop of 10-8-4 with two hearts on the board. I don't have any blockers to the heart flush draws, so when small blind checks to me, I'll bet $40, and the button ends up jamming for $81 total. Small blind gets out of the way, and it's a pretty easy decision for me. Looks like he's going for the flush draw. I'm going to make the call here all the time with only $40, 41 more to me. So we make the call, and we go heads up to the turn and river. Turn is a brick 6, and the river is a 8 of hearts, unfortunately. So he shows the king 4 of hearts, and he scoops that one as the flush gets there. So lost that one out of the way, but on to the second hand. This one here, I am in early position with king queen offsuit. There are two limpers to me, so I make it $15, and two people call behind, and the two limpers call as well. So we are 5 ways to the flop of deuce 4-6 with 2 diamonds on the board. When it checks to me, I have a very interesting decision to make here. I could definitely check it behind as I completely whiff the flop, or just try to isolate and get some other people out of the way. So I make it $40. The button calls and my direct right calls as well. My direct right has been playing a lot of hands and showing down some crazy stuff, so no idea what they could have, but I think they at least have connected the board. Maybe the button going for some straight draws or something like that. So the turn is a great card to queen, so we make top pair on the turn. When it checks to me, I bet out again as I hit my card, 125. Button gets out of the way, and the player to my direct right tank calls as well. So once he calls this, I just really want, I have the most amount of showdown value. He could have a weird 2 pair in this spot. So river is a 6, and awful card for me as top pair on the flop turns into trip. So once he checks, I easily check it down. I was hoping to go for a thin value on a brick, but who knows? He shows ace deuce for a pair of deuces, so I scooped that one. Very loose call by him on the turn there, so very interesting to see that, but I'm happy to scoop up a fairly big pot fairly on in the session. Next hand here, we are in the big blind with ace 7 of spades. We have 3 limpers to the button, who makes it $12. The small blind makes the call, and 10 more to me. I think I could actually 3-bet a lot of the times in this spot, but as played, I make the call and all the limpers call. So we are multi-ways, 7 ways to the flop of ace jack 9 with rainbow board, I'm pretty sure. And when it checks to under the gun, my direct left, he bets $15. He's a tighter older man, so you'd think he's fairly tight. You think he'd have an ace in this spot a lot of the time. The middle position and the button call. So when I have top pair with a fairly weak kicker, trying to isolate, so I raise it up to $45, and everyone makes the call. Very weird. So the turn is another jack. A awful card for me. I could lead out and bluff the jack in this spot, but I decided to check it around, and action ends up checking through somehow with the paired jack on the board. So very likely that no one has a jack. The river's a 5. I check again as I'm first to act. I really just want to get to showdown as I have top pair with a fairly weak kicker. The button ends up checking around again on the river, and the button shows ace 8. So I show as well, and no one has a jack, and we're good. So we chop up that one. Pretty interesting. Not sure what the under the gun player was trying to represent there. Maybe he has a 9 or a straight draw or something, open-ended, but we chop up that one, so not going to complain with that one there. Next orbit, we have pocket kings in the small blind. We have 3 limpers to me, Gonna raise it up to $15 in this spot. My big blind calls, and 2 of the limpers that are in position call as well. So I'm first to act out of position with pocket kings. Flop is fairly decent for us. It comes king, jack, 7 with 2 hearts. I decided to play this a little weird. I mean, I think 9 times out of 10, I lead out and bet this spot, as I'm just trying to charge the draws for flush draws. But I decided to check with top set. The big blind checks as well, and checks to the cutoff, who bets $15. Smooth call. Obviously, I think I could raise a lot of the times in this spot, but I think this is where I make a mistake. I should have probably raised, but I ended up just calling, and everyone else calls behind. Going multi-way to a very draw-heavy board, I think, or at least to the hearts. So the turn is a 3 offsuit. It checks. I check again. It's kind of stupid checking in this spot, but I did, and it ends up checking around, so I give out another free card. And this time it's a 2, so now I'm assuming someone has to bet in this spot. I'm way too strong. I think I've already checked twice, so I think leading out in the river seems extremely strong, especially out of position in first to act. So as I go, as previously played, I have to check. I'm hoping someone will bet. Big blind bets $40, which is, a decent sized bet. The cutoff then calls, and I am going to have to jam it all in there. I both cover them. They both have about 140 behind, so I'm gonna have to just rip it all in. There's no other sizing here that I can do. The big blind ends up just saying I have to call, so he calls. The cutoff gets out of the way. He shows pocket 7s, and I'm good with my kings. So both slow play the sets on the flop there, so I guess all the money was going to go in regardless. Just played it very weird and let the draws and random hearts to kind of get there, if or at least get the opportunity to get there. So played that pretty poorly, but I mean, I guess it was going to happen eventually. Going to get all the money in regardless. Here we're in the big blind. We're playing a lot of hands out of position. Not lovely, not what I like to see, but it is what it is. We have 10-9 offsuit in the big blind. It folds all the way to the button, who makes it 15. The loose small blind, still that same player. To my direct right, makes the call, and I call as well. So we're 3 ways to the flop. Flop comes jack, 8, 6, rainbow. Flop in the open-ender. Love the flop. Great flop for me. So small blind checks, I check, and the button checks it behind as well. So I would love for him to bet to kind of increase the size of the pot, but it is what it is. Get a free card. Turn is the queen. We get the nuts. Complete rainbow on the board as well too. So love to see that. Small blind checks. I'm assuming it's got to hit the button's range somehow. So I check it behind with the nuts, and I check it to the button with the nuts, and the button bets out $40. The small blind ends up tank folding in this spot, and I really would have loved to call, to be honest, but the small blind only has about 200-ish behind, give or take. I'm not entirely sure, but from my calculations, around 200. So I decided to make a very small raise to $115, and hoping to just induce something, but he shoves, which is good. Snap it off. River's a 7, so I get I literally make a 7 card straight there, and I show, and we're good, obviously, with the nuts. Next hand here, we are in middle position with 5, 6 of spades here. I have a fairly big stack, so I think I cover basically everyone on the table at this point. So 1 limper to me. I make it $15, and we get 3 callers, including a limper. So kind of out of position here, trying to just hit the flop and just kind of give up there if we don't. Flop comes jack 10 7, all spades. Flop a baby flush. Not the worst position in the world for me. So when it checks to me, I'm gonna make it $40. Trying to just charge the max if anyone has like the ace of spades or king of spades. Obviously don't want that to come. Obviously don't want another spade to come. So next to act, he calls and everyone else folds. So isolated, and we are heads up to the turn of another jack. So not really the best card. Definitely an action card, I would assume. I ended up still leading out for $100. Once again, just if he has a spade in his hand with the jack, he's probably going to shove, which that's exactly what he does. he ships it in for $218 total. With only 118 more to call, there's really not a whole lot else for me to do but call and fade a few cards that he may have. The river's a 6. Very nice card for me. It should be a total blank. So he shows Queen Jack without a spade. So turning trips there with a pretty good kicker. Yeah, she seemed we were good there. I really didn't think we were gonna be good a lot of the time, or sometimes at the very least with the flush there. But we'll take it. We'll take that one down. The very last hand that we'll go over here today is probably most definitely the craziest hand I've been a part of and the biggest pot I've ever played. So it gets very interesting, and let's get into it. We are on the button with pocket 5s, and the early position player raises to $7. I make the call, and the blinds make the call as well. So we are just 4 ways to the flop of ace, deuce, 5 with 2 hearts on the board. So flopping middle set with an ace on the board too, so I love that. Small blind checks. The early position pre-flop raiser bets $20. I would assume he hit the ace a lot of the time here, so I'm just going to smooth call, and the small blind calls as well. So 3 ways to the turn card, which is an offsuit deuce. We make a boat. We turn the third nuts essentially, but I would assume it is the nuts. Being behind pocket deuces and pocket aces seems fairly unlikely. So the small blind checks again. Early position, he bleeds out and bets $40. I'm gonna just smooth call this, and as I'm obviously not afraid of any hearts getting there, would love another heart getting on the river actually. And the small blind ends up jamming for $87 total. So essentially kind of like a min raise. So he jams. The early position player ends up making the call. Once he calls, it's weird because he has about like 400 in his stack total or something like that. 350 to 400. He bought in for 500, and it's fairly early in the session. So I'm gonna have to raise it up here. I just want to increase the size of the pot. Make a fairly small raise to 175. He quickly jams for all of it. I snap call immediately. He jams for about like his 350, 400-ish total. So snap call that. River comes the 3 of hearts. The hearts gets there. I show my pocket 5s. He shows ace deuce. And small blind had ace 10 of hearts, so he got there with a nut flush, but that is no good behind 2 boats. So that was a pretty unreal turn card. Flop was huge too, so that was insane. Boat over boat. That was in an extremely huge pot, and quickly after that, I mean, I still ran fairly well, but cashed out. But that was the highlight of the session by far, winning a monster pot in a 1-2 game. So I played for about 6 hours in this session. I was in for 500. Got out for 2,100, so it was pretty good $1,600 profit in this day. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you guys think about my hands. Please, if you made it this far in the video somehow, you listened, please like the video, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Really do appreciate all the support so far. Would love to get to 1,000 subscribers. That would be huge. But once again, hopefully you enjoyed the video. Played a fairly monster session, so hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.